Deep in the heart of a shimmering lily-pad-covered swamp stood a most unusual castle. It wasn't made of cold grey stone, but of sturdy reeds woven together and decorated with sparkling morning dew. This was the home of Prince Franky, the kindest frog in all the land. Franky wasn't just any frog. He had a crown made of a single perfect snail shell and a heart full of sunshine. Every morning, Prince Franky would leap from his cattail bed, slide down a mossy banister, and land with a happy plop onto a giant water lily. He loved his home. The buzz of the dragonflies was his music, and the fireflies at night were his twinkling chandeliers. His subjects, the other frogs, the turtles, the dragonflies, and even the grumpy old herons, all adored him. But there was one little secret that Franky kept hidden beneath his cheery smile. You see, while all the other frogs in the swamp had a loud, booming ribbit, Franky's croak was different. When he tried to call out to his friends, all that came out was a soft little boop. He would take a deep breath, puff out his green throat, and boop. It wasn't grand, it wasn't princely. It was just a boop. One sunny afternoon, Franky was practicing. Ribbit, he tried to copy from old Ferdinand, the wisest frog in the swamp, but out came boop. He tried again, lower this time. Boop. He tried again, faster. Boop, boop. He sighed, his little frog shoulders slumping. A tear rolled down his cheek and plopped into the pond below. He just wanted to sound like everyone else. He wanted to fit in. Just then, a tiny, shimmering dragonfly with wings like stained glass zipped by. Her name was Dizzy, and she was Franky's best friend. She noticed Franky's sad face right away. "What's wrong, Prince Franky?" she buzzed, landing gently on a leaf beside him. Franky looked at his feet. "Oh, Dizzy," he mumbled. "It's my croak. It's not a real frog croak. It's just a silly little boop." Dizzy tilted her head. "A boop?" she asked. "Can I hear it?" Feeling a little embarrassed, Franky took a small breath and let out a quiet boop. Dizzy's antennae wiggled with delight. "Oh, Franky," she chirped. "I love it. It sounds like a little raindrop falling on a leaf. It's the most charming sound I've ever heard." Franky blinked. "Charming? But it's not a ribbit." Dizzy giggled, a sound like tiny bells. "Who says everyone has to sound the same? A ribbit is nice, sure, but a boop, your boop is special, it's your sound." For the first time, Franky thought about his boop in a new way. Maybe Dizzy was right. The next day was the annual Swamp Symphony, the most important event of the year. All the creatures would gather to create a beautiful song together. The crickets would chirp, the owls would hoot, and the frogs would provide the big booming chorus of ribbits. Franky always felt his stomach twist into knots during the symphony. He would just move his mouth, pretending to croak along, too afraid to let his little boop be heard. This year, as Maestro Ferdinand raised his reed baton, Franky felt the same fear creeping in. The crickets began their rhythmic chirping. The owls added their soft, low hoots. Then it was time. Ferdinand looked at the frogs. A giant, rumbling ribbit echoed across the water. Franky just opened and closed his mouth, silent. Dizzy, hovering nearby, gave him an encouraging little nod. They sang the chorus again. Ribbit! Franky felt his throat tighten. He wanted to join in, to be part of the music. He remembered Dizzy's words, "It's your sound." Taking the deepest breath he had ever taken, he closed his eyes, and with all his might, he let it out. Boop! The sound was small but clear. It cut through the loud ribbits like a tiny, bright star in the night sky. For a moment, everything went silent. The other frogs stopped croaking. The crickets stopped chirping. Everyone turned to look at Franky. Franky's face turned a brighter shade of green. He thought he had ruined everything. But then something wonderful happened. A little tadpole near the front let out a giggle. Then a young frog tried to copy him. Boop, then another. Boop, boop. Soon the whole pond was filled with laughter, but it wasn't mean laughter. It was happy and surprised. Maestro Ferdinand tapped his baton. "Again from the chorus," he commanded, a twinkle in his eye. The frogs took a deep breath. "Ribbit," they boomed. And right in the middle of it all, Franky, feeling braver now, added his part. "Boop." The ribbits were the strong beat of the song, but Frankie's boop was like a little sprinkle of magic on top. It made the symphony more interesting, more beautiful, and more unique. From that day on, Prince Franky never hid his voice again. He realized that being different wasn't something to be ashamed of. His little boop was his special gift to the swamp. It was what made him him. And all the creatures of the swamp agreed that their symphony and their prince were much more wonderful because of it. Frankie learned that the best sound you can make is the one that is truly your own. Thank you so much for listening to Frankie's story. Remember to always be proud of what makes you special. If you enjoyed our time in the swamp, please like this video and subscribe for more adventures. See you next time.